Lots to get into, so let's get cracking right away. In this video, the Montreal Canadiens recently had Cale Fleury selected by the Seattle Kraken in the expansion draft last night, and honestly, there was a lot of expectation that Carey Price could be the selection from the Seattle Kraken after he was left exposed by the Montreal Canadiens, but it just didn't seem like a smart gamble for them to take. We know what the amount is left on Price's contract, and we've seen him in the regular season over the last 3 or 4 years kind of been deteriorating, but we also know what he's been capable of in the postseason for this Montreal Canadiens team. So I think Montreal Canadiens fans should have seen this as a win-win. If Price had been selected by Seattle, they would have gotten $10.5 million in cap space. But now that Price stays, you have Price retiring as a Montreal Canadien in all likelihood, so it's a very good sign for the Montreal Canadiens. But in terms of what they're losing in Cale Fleury, I never really saw him as more than a third pairing defenseman, and those are valuable. We saw Montreal not really play their third pairing much in the postseason, but I really believe Cale Fleury will be a solid third pairing right-handed defenseman, and Montreal now needs to work to replace their right-handed depth, especially with the news coming down about Shea Weber. Canadiens general manager Marc Bergevin confirmed what we had all been speculating earlier this morning, and he said that Shea Weber will likely not suit up for the Montreal Canadiens, and in fact his career is likely over in general. There's just too many injuries compiling for Shea Weber, and it's a real shame that he has to go out like this, but it was nice to see Shea Weber lace them up in the Stanley Cup Finals, and he did play his best hockey as a Montreal Canadien in that Stanley Cup Final against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, Marc Bergevin summed it up nicely during his pre-draft availability this morning and basically said that you can't replace Shea Weber on the back end for this Montreal Canadiens team. But there is a lot of rumors going on right now around the National Hockey League that the Montreal Canadiens are searching for right-handed big defensemen to kind of play in that top pairing role for the Montreal Canadiens. And I don't really have a ton of names right now attached to the Montreal Canadiens besides Rasmus Ristolainen. But I don't really like the prospects of Ristolainen on this Montreal Canadiens blue line. He doesn't really bring what this Montreal Canadiens team needs right now. I think the Montreal Canadiens blue line needs to kind of have a shift in their identity. They need to add some more puck movers, specifically on this right side, because the Montreal Canadiens right side is decimated right now, and they basically only have a few defensemen there on that right side. So I believe the Montreal Canadiens are going to be shopping heavily for right-handed defensemen this offseason. Now, there was some great news this morning to counteract the awful Shea Weber news that Marc Bergevin presented us with, and that is that Jonathan Drouin is expected to be at camp for the Montreal Canadiens whenever training camp is this season. He reported that Jonathan Drouin is doing very well and that him and Dominic Ducharme sat down with Drouin, and he's doing a lot better, and he's expected to be with the Montreal Canadiens next season. And that's a big thing for this Montreal Canadiens team because Drouin provides some stability on the left side, and the Montreal Canadiens don't have a ton of scoring right now on that left side, so they need Drouin in the lineup, and I'll be very interested to see where they do indeed slot him, assuming he does enter training camp with the Habs. Now, sticking with the left side up front, the Montreal Canadiens continue to be linked to Mike Hoffman like they have been in years past, and Hoffman is once again a free agent after his year with the St. Louis Blues last season. Mike Hoffman is a pure goal scorer, and he literally brings nothing else to the table, and I really think this would be a nice signing from Marc Bergevin, depending on what the term and average annual value comes in on. But I think Hoffman could help the second power play unit for the Montreal Canadiens, as well as really add a threat that is a pure goal scorer, like Cole Caulfield is for the Montreal Canadiens already. You would have Cole Caulfield on one unit and Mike Hoffman on another. I don't think the Montreal Canadiens have had two goal scoring threats on like that on their power play units in a very long time, so I think a signing like this could be very important. That's it for me today from Cook's Corner. As always, let me know in the comment section down below what you think of Marc Bergevin confirming the Weber news, what you think of the selection of Cale Fleury for the Seattle Kraken, and the rumors around Mike Hoffman, as well as Jonathan Drouin potentially returning to the Montreal Canadiens next season. I'm Zach Cook. We'll see you later.